the Christian notion of salvation. And in particular, what I want us to look at here is salvation in terms of the kingdom of heaven, the way in which the earth is said to eventually come to a point where it has been fully redeemed, fully elevated, so as to become the new Jerusalem, the body of Christ and such. So, as we've already begun to see, this Aristotelian Christian conception is one within which the fallenness of the bodily realm is its materiality. The fallenness of the living human organism is its participation in the pure potentiality of the chora, of the receptacle, the prima materia, this underlying darkness which ensures a distance between the ideal and the real, between potentiality and actuality. And so when we look up to the angels and the heavens, the celestial spheres, we see pure psyche, pure psychical substance without any such darkness. Psyche which has been completely divorced, in other words, from the Great Mother, as Plato referred to her. So really think about this for a moment. What would this salvation of the earth actually imply? What would it mean for the earth to become the new heaven on earth, the kingdom of heaven? Well, what it seems to imply is a complete dematerialization of the earth, as though the psychical realm of pure idyllicness were to contract into the earth, as it were, and thereby purify it, rid it of its materiality, purify its darkness, its indeterminacy, its mere apparentness, such that there is nothing left but the ideal, the determinate. Now, what's interesting here is that we can see a direct continuity between what's going on here within this Aristotelian Christian notion of ultimate idealness and salvation and what we see in techno-scientific capitalism and physicalism. Remember how Heidegger tells us the way in which the process of enframing kind of strips away the being from the world. It is essentially a kind of dematerialization of living reality. There is a kind of darkness within the very aliveness of the living world. There's always indeterminacy, unpredictability. There's always the hiddenness of that which is in the world, and this project of enframing, this kind of techno-capitalistic way of engaging with the world, you have this will to dematerialize the world, to strip away all of that darkness, as it were, such that the only thing left is the mechanized. The only thing left is that which is a representation of ideals, of mental objects, which human beings have come up with. It is a way of grasping onto the world in order to render it less threatening, in a sense, to make it into something that we have complete control over, by making it into something that is fully present, as it were, for the scrutiny of the human ego. So even though on the face of it, it might seem that medieval Christian Aristotelianism and techno-scientific capitalism are diametrically opposed to one another, there is nonetheless a common thread that unites both, and that common thread is, in a sense, the disavowal of the bodily. The medieval Aristotelians saw themselves as having taken the high ground on this issue. Roman Christianity itself kind of defined itself in contrast to Gnosticism, which it saw as vehemently anti-bodily. The Gnostics were seen as oriented towards this kind of transcendence which completely disavowed the bodily world. But we can see here that even within medieval Aristotelian Christianity, this kind of ambivalence towards corporeality is still there. It's just less obvious than it was within Gnosticism. In many ways, Christianity at its very core is a promise of redemption through reconciliation of the earthly and heavenly realms, reconciliation of the bodily and the psychical. And yet we can see here within this Aristotelian doctrine that even in medieval Christianity, this reconciliation is still incomplete. So within the Aristotelian cosmology, God is the unmoved mover. It is kind of like the ultimate ideal, the meta-ideal, the meta-form, as it were, the form of formedness. And their forms form, as it were, for formedness. All the other forms kind of unfold out of that central form, cosmic unmoved mover, that's proteusia, as Aristotle would call it.